Welcome to Build Your Dream Network. I'm Kelly Hoey. I see people struggling to connect effectively all the time, so I created this podcast to help you master your network building needs. Whether you're seeking a new job, looking for a promotion, or scaling your business, you need a network, and you're in the right place to get the advice you need. And don't worry, my advice is real, it's actionable and practical because it's the advice I follow and is what has transformed my career from the traditional to the unexpected. So let's get started. So a change in format for today's episode of the podcast. I've got a guest in the studio to unpack etiquette in our hyper-connected age. I also have some guests who are sort of a studio audience. So if you hear some laughter, it's not just my guest and I guffawing here. Helen Ellis is the acclaimed author of Southern Lady Code, American Housewife, and Eating the Cheshire Cat. She hosts the Southern Lady Code podcast. Helen is a transplant to New York City, as am I. I moved south to the Big Apple, and Helen moved from the south. We met at a literary salon on the Upper West Side when Helen's book of short stories, American Housewife, was first released. And that book launch party was hosted by none other than novelist Aidan Donnelly Rowley, who is featured in my book. Thank you, Helen, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I was just saying to our studio audience as how we met, and I said, I went to this reading on the Upper West Side, and you know how you just see someone in a crowd of people and grab onto them? That was you, and I haven't let go for several years.
It's mutual.
Every time I see you at a party, I just make a beeline, and my husband says, "Where are you going?"
Kelly's here. Okay, so I got some etiquette questions for you.
God, let's
Here we go.
Okay.
The RSVP. When an invitation says personal invitation, what does that mean?
I don't know what personal invitation means. I assume if you're inviting me to your house, that's pretty personal. But I will tell you that I am the queen of RSVPing. I will RSVP within 24 hours. We were just invited to a lovely wedding upstate, a traveling affair, and I couldn't say no fast enough. And everybody appreciates a fast RSVP, even if it's no. And in addition, I'm the fastest one to get you a present or a contribution to your honeymoon on your registry list. So RSVPing is very, very important. And yes, we want to hear no right away.
I think, that tip, too, on getting the gift fast, because if there is a registry, you want to get in there early before you're left with, like, the salt and pepper
grinder. That's what it is. And let me tell you, I think about my younger days as I look at our studio audience. And I think about being 23 in New York City and being invited to a very fancy wedding because I was dating my then now husband. And I bought the most expensive thing I could afford at the time, which was a very fancy pepper grinder. It cost like $50, and it was all the money in the world to me. And I remember going to this party, and the host or the hostess and the bride opening the presents, and she opened the pepper grinder, and she was not impressed, and made it, treating it like it was something you might put batteries in by your bedside. But even that wasn't good enough. So I still have very vivid memories of people being ungracious, even if you buy your gift, right away. But now I give a chip and dip bowl. That's my standard thing. Everybody needs a chip and dip bowl. I am the first one to get it. It's the one thing you'll use. There you go.
There it is. And be careful what you put on your registry.
I will get it. And believe me, if you put ridiculous things on your registry, I will buy them. If your husband puts the entire Quentin Tarantino library on your registry, well, I'm going to give you that instead of that good china. Because, you have to make your own fun in life.
Right. And if you don't want a pepper grinder, don't put it on your registry.
That's right. Don't put it on your registry, for heaven's sake.
For heaven's sakes. Okay, let's assume someone gets their act together and RSVPs in a timely and proper manner. Mm-hmm. What makes for a good guest?
Oh, you're a very good guest. A good guest. I have actually a whole chapter on it in Southern Lady Code, how to be the best guest. And the best guest arrives on time, spewing compliments like a busted piñata. The table is set beautifully. That ham looks like it was glazed by angels. Your outfit is everything. And the best guest participates in whatever the hostess asks you to participate in. Charades, yes, ma'am. I will pretend to be a little teapot. It's time to go to the dining room table. Where is my place card? I will sit there. I will not switch them around. And when, it's time to go, she gets the hell out. The best guest is the first one in and the first one out and the first one to write her thank you note.
Well,
And may I just say something about thank you notes that you didn't ask me? But
I'm going to ask you about thank you notes, but you can go ahead now, but I'm going to ask you later too.
I received a thank you postcard yesterday, and I enjoy a thank you postcard. It had John Waters and Divine on the front of it, and I thought it symbolized our friendship, and a very nice note on the back that my doorman could read to show what a nice friend I am. And I just love a thank you postcard, and I will send them as well.
Well, you know what? It's a perfect amount of space to
Yes.
say something, and you can find fun postcards. And you know what? I was going to say, who sends postcards anymore? Now we have a reason to send
I
postcards.
have postcard stamps in my wallet at all times.
Of course you do.
Yes.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Okay, when's the right time to ask the host for their Wi-Fi code?
Never. Let me tell you, if you come to my house, you will not be allowed a phone in my house. We have various events at the house, and like, for example, we might have a game night at the house, and if your phone comes out, your team loses 10 points. There are no pictures at my house. And when I say house, I mean 4 rooms, in the sky on the Upper East Side. But, we have various, parties and gatherings and this, that, and the other, and we never allow a telephone. And that just shows you how old I am that I'm calling it a telephone. We never allow pictures to be taken because I would just much rather be the stuff of legends.
I like that. So I guess
I hate phones.
I guess you wouldn't want a guest to inquire if the host has a preferred hashtag.
No. No.
Okay,
no.
and
my brand is Maytag. No.
And maybe this answers this one. What's the proper placement of a mobile phone at the table?
In your purse or up your butt. I'm sorry you asked me, and that's just what came out. I feel like I'm in a very safe place in this dark little podcast room, but honestly, no, I don't ever want to see a phone. I'm going to start taking around like a crossword puzzle or a paint by numbers. So if you bring your phone out at the table, I'm going to start, painting a sad clown across from you. I can't stand it. Right now, my little telephone is in my bag.
It's
and
away.
it will stay in my bag.
It will stay there. It will stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's switch topics for a second. Is it appropriate, since we're talking, etiquette here,
Probably not.
Is it appropriate to stalk a host's Pinterest account to get ideas for a hostess gift?
I don't know from Pinterest, so it's very hard. Is that something where what is Pinterest? You must tell me. I honest to God don't know.
Oh, we're not going to send. You know what? If we send you down the Pinterest,
is it like a corkboard?
It's a digital, and what people create their Pinterest boards of their dream weddings or their dream homes. Diane Keaton designed her entire home. Yes, I saw your eyes pop up. Her entire house. She got ideas for designing her house because of going on Pinterest.
No. No, I don't do the Pinterest. I do the Instagram. But so the question was, tell me the question again.
Should someone stalk their host on Instagram?
To figure out what you like.
To get a hostess gift.
I know what you need. And you know what every good hostess gift should be? A big box of 250 count matches, because everybody needs a big box of matches. Or, a nice candle, or, something, the gift to you is something that I think you need. You know what you like. You have what you like. You don't need to give me to give you what you already like.
Okay.
That's my
That's
opinion.
All right. Okay. Well, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
A big box of matches with a bow on it.
You know what? You can always use matches, because what are you always looking for?
Matches.
Yes, exactly. Lights go out. What do you need? You need matches.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's come back to circling back on thank you notes.
Yes.
Can I WhatsApp or Instagram in my thank you note?
I don't even know what that is. What's the WhatsApp? I know what Instagram is. What do you mean? Like when you say Instagram, like thank someone publicly, like thank you for these roses, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Who did I just see? Someone thank that. No, I don't think so. No, I think a thank you note is private. I think that I see it more and more these days. I see people, thanking other people for gifts online. I just see that as bragging. Look who sent me what and look how big it is. Back to the Papa Grinder. And I think that's a private affair, a thank you note. And I do feel like people feel the need to do something very speedily. So you get a lot of email thank you notes. And ugh. I got, again, my little thank you postcard that I got today, I think was for something 2 weeks ago. And I completely forgotten about the lunch. And I absolutely loved, seeing the note and being reminded, because there's really no expiration date on writing a thank you note. And isn't it nice to get a note?
Yes, it is.
You read it, you pop it in the trash.
Well,
you might memory. Unless it's a good postcard, then you might, save it and stick it on your, corkboard, not Pinterest.
No.
I don't do the
refrigerator. Like sometimes put them on my refrigerator. They make me happy. Like when I see those sorts of things.
Yes, agreed. I agree.
Okay. All right. So I got one more question, and sort of enough of the guests and what's their duty. Hostess.
You said duty.
Yeah, duty. Your duty
Don't
is to
say
be
that at a party.
All right, let's talk about hostess. Hostesses with the mostest. Your grandmother's advice is to give your guests what they want.
Yes.
What's the hostess mindset?
The hostess mindset is to make you the most comfortable. If you're coming into my house, I want you to be comfortable. I don't need you to take your shoes off. I don't need you to bring me a big bottle of wine. I don't need you to worry about getting a stain on a wooden surface top. That is what mayonnaise is for. Well, one of many things mayonnaise can be for. That'd be a good hostess gift as well, as I'm thinking about it. A box of matches and a big jar of Hellman's mayonnaise. Those things you really do use. But so a hostess is to make you feel comfortable, to show you a good time. That's what I think.
There it is.
And if you're being horrible and rude, well, it's just not my place to tell you so. I'll just talk about you after you leave.
And send a good thank you note to make up for your bad behavior.
Correct.
Thank you so much, Helen, for coming on the podcast today. I've got more questions, but I'm going to save them for another episode if you promise to come back.
I promise to come back.
Thank you for listening to Build Your Dream Network. Stay connected and don't miss a networking insight by subscribing to the podcast. And while you're there, I'd love you to rate and review the show too. Are you looking for more networking advice? Pick up a copy of my book, Build Your Dream Network. It's your guide to modern networking. I'd like to hear your networking questions, tips, and ideas. Connect with me via my website, jkellyhoey.co. You'll find links to all my social media accounts, plus a contact form to email me your questions. I'm Kelly Hoey, and I'll be back again next week to tackle your networking challenges.